guys, Mishi Madrose here, and today I would like to talk about a subject that is very often associated with a symptom of borderline personality disorder, and that is manipulation. Now, people that have very poor views on people with borderline personality disorder, or maybe they met someone that was very low functioning, will often say people with borderline personality disorder are extremely manipulative and they will do anything they can to get what they want. And to be completely 100% honest, just as someone right now that suffers from borderline personality disorder, I do agree with the fact that we have, some tendencies to sometimes manipulate, or in other words, get what we want. And that can be through words or through actions. And usually manipulation, it has a very negative connotation with it. It means basically that it's very malicious. It's an intent to kind of mess someone up over, get them to do what you want, to kind of get them to bow down to you, almost like a power trip kind of setting. Basically, getting something that you want that the other person doesn't necessarily want to give you, but using your words or actions to, again, to manipulate, to get those things from them. Now, people with borderline personality disorder can definitely experience, these kinds of symptoms. We can have malice and intent to things that we do, especially when we're going through our episodes of rage. But I just think that in general, as a general statement, saying that people with borderline personality disorder are very manipulative people, I think that that generally stigmatizes us so much further than needs to. I think that, talking about it as someone with BPD and acknowledging the fact that I have definitely, had a past of manipulating, in a sense that, there's so many different ways of looking at it. I think the way that I have shown that I can, be manipulative is in ways when someone is saying that they are going to leave, in past, towards family, towards friends, towards past relationships, that feeling of when they're going to leave us, that feeling of, oh my God, I can't go on. I literally feel like I cannot live my life without this person. And if they're going to leave me, then there seems to be no other reasonable explanation than to end my life or to hurt myself. And, there's the very common saying, if you leave me, I'll kill myself. If you leave me, I'll hurt you. And that's kind of what people with borderline personality disorder are seen as doing often, because we do struggle with suicidal thoughts and self-harming. And I feel like a lot of people that don't understand or don't take the time to understand, I think that they think that that is just, a way of keeping everyone together. We're all like thinking about in advance and plotting against people to manipulate them and have them as our little pawns. When in reality, when I'm in that state of mind, I'm not thinking about anything else. My mind is completely blank. I am not, plotting or planning or trying to, see what I can do. At that moment, I'm not thinking about anything. It's just like my mind is telling me that I need to either hurt myself or die, and those are the only two options that I have in my mind. And then when it comes out, obviously I can understand as the other person, because I've been on that side of that as well. I've had friends that are borderline, and they've said, if you're not going to be friends with me, then I'll just hurt myself because I'm so awful. And it is a very, very scary thing to be on the other side of, because obviously you don't want this person to hurt themselves. You don't want them to potentially end their lives. And a lot of times it's seen as attention seeking, and a lot of times it's seen as someone's not actually going to go and do that. They're just trying to manipulate you to get you to stay and not leave. Despite, the relationship or friendship, engagement going sour, we still can't let go of that, relationship, because again, we're taking it as it's personal. It's, oh my God, we are awful people. That's why everyone's going to leave us, and you're going to leave me too. And that just, again, kind of proves that thought in our mind that we are not valid. And, if we're not valid and we're not able to have people around us, no one wants to stay, that's when we go and think about, wow, we are such awful people. You know what, everyone is right. We should just go and not be in people's lives. People don't want to be in our lives, then okay, we won't be in anyone's life, kind of thing. And as I'm saying it, of course, it is a very disordered way of thinking. And again, I'm not trying to say that these behaviors are okay. I'm not trying to excuse them in any way. I am trying to kind of shed light to them, just because it is very important, as both someone that has borderline personality disorder and someone that doesn't, to kind of recognize these these cries for help or these manipulation, for lack of a better word, and what we can do to move forward with it so that these things don't happen again in the future. So it is obviously very, very difficult when you have borderline personality disorder to regulate your emotions, and that is kind of the chronic irrationality that we have. So, telling someone like, you're just doing it for attention, you're never actually going to do it, like, stop doing that, you're toxic, you're manipulative, hearing constantly how negative we are, although we may be, is not, helping us in any way. We just see ourselves as all good or all bad, just like we see other people. So when we're hearing these things, it's hard for us to believe that we're anything else other than awful. And then at that point, when you realize, or you think you realize that you're an awful person, what's the point in having another awful person in the world? The world is so full of awful people. If we genuinely invoke all of those terrible feelings, why wouldn't the world be better off without us? And that's just kind of some of the thoughts that I have in my mind when I'm feeling that way. And I know that, coming from an outside standpoint, even if you do want to leave, even if you don't have, feelings or care about that person, you don't want to see them going through that. So then they end up staying because obviously most people aren't going to take the chance of being like, okay, well, I'm going to leave anyway. And then something does happen, which is terrible. But that unfortunately makes people, develop that pity and that sympathy for you. And that's usually the only reason that they stick around, is out of those reasons. And, even if the love or the friendship or whatever is dead, these people stick around because, they don't want to see anyone hurt themselves. And so what I've kind of learned from my past experiences and being the one that's going through that, and being the one also on the other side, being the one that's being told these kinds of things, it's very scary. It's anything that threatens a person's life or a person's well-being should be taken very seriously. And saying you're not going to do that, even if they're not saying, you're not doing it, you're just doing it for attention, you're just manipulative, I'm not going to take you seriously. 9 times out of 10 it may not happen, but there is that chance that that could be what pushes someone to be like, you know what, people think I'm not going to do it, everyone eventually just says I'm going to do it, you know what, maybe I will do it. And I think that the only real way in that serious and that extreme of a situation, especially dealing with someone whose emotions cannot be controlled or managed at any point, like, there's just no communication at that point in time, the only really logical thing to do would be to, unfortunately, let them know that you're going to need to call the police or 911, have the ambulance there. And if they are very serious about it, obviously they're going to be like, no, don't do that. But if it comes down to that much of a safety thing, I think that's the only thing that we can do in those situations. I've had that happen to me where I've said, okay, I'm going to go kill myself. And a family member or a friend will be like, all right, I'm calling the police. And of course then, it comes back and forth like, no, I'm not going to do it. Even if someone is going to do it, they're going to tell you they're not going to do it because they don't want to be stopped. But that's kind of a situation that needs to be dealt with professionals. And then if that person is serious about it, getting that kind of help and that treatment and a diagnosis. So even people that don't have borderline personality disorder or people that are not yet diagnosed can experience these forms of manipulation and not knowing what else to do. We haven't learned coping mechanisms the way most people have, and that is why we resort to these extreme feelings of, if one person doesn't like me, I need to end my life. It seems so out of a reasonable person's mind. It is, because that's the whole point of the disorder. But I think that people thinking that we are choosing to be this way and are, doing it with malicious intentions, we are just so hurt from the inside, and we feel as though we don't deserve anyone. So, when we do get these feelings of abandonment, it just turns us into like our fight or flight. Like, my mind doesn't think about anything other than like survival at that point. And most people, you don't need to go into survival over every little thing that happens, but in some cases we just don't have, the coping mechanisms. We don't have, the sense of self. We can't talk ourselves out of these situations, and then it just escalates. Other forms of manipulation can be possibly going through someone's phone. Again, it all kind of stems from that abandonment and that irrationality and not being able to kind of look at things logically, objectively, and through kind of multiple lenses. We kind of see everything as all good or bad. And that's why I think that the manipulation can seem malicious because, we might be in a state where we don't know what else to do. But I don't think that that is the same kind of manipulation that you'd see from someone with narcissistic personality disorder. And again, I'm not excusing that. I think that if you or someone you love is experiencing this, or you yourself feel very manipulated and you're only in a relationship because you feel like they are going to hurt themselves, it's not anyone else's fault other than for that person's. And it's not to say like, oh, it's your fault that you're making people stay, it's your fault you're being manipulative, it's your fault you're suicidal. Again, placing the blame on someone in that way and attacking someone for that is not going to be the best way of handling it. Again, usually just getting professionals involved, and you don't have to stay in a relationship where someone is threatening to do that. I don't stand by that behavior at all. I'm just trying to explain why, hopefully the more that we talk about it, the more that we realize why people do the things that they do, especially borderline personality disorder, which is such a complex, there's so many layers to BPD that a lot of people still, that I still don't even understand. And a lot of things that are hard to kind of admit to, because no one wants to admit to being manipulative. No one wants to admit to being toxic. But, the sooner that we do place, some kind of onus on ourselves without, finding that balance. Like, okay, yes, I do have toxic traits, but I also have great traits. Not letting the toxic traits bog me down to just being an awful person. And then at the same time, accepting that I can grow. And everyone can grow. Everyone can, be the better versions of themselves than they were yesterday. So I think that recognizing these behaviors in myself has become a very good step towards recovery. And I hope to still look, for more ways in which that I can improve and not have to resort to those unhealthy coping mechanisms and tactics and manipulating people I love, because that's not something that I would ever, choose to do or want to do, especially when you care about people. Knowing that you may have hurt them in that kind of way really does, it's not something that we want to do. And I think that the whole thing about empathy is there, which people think that, if we can manipulate people, if people think that we're willing to, hurt ourselves or kill ourselves, it seems very selfish and stuff like that. So I think that just kind of hearing it from the other side as well, recognizing those traits and working towards them is going to be definitely, it's not going to be a hindrance, it's only going to be a help. And again, not to excuse those behaviors, but to acknowledge them and to work towards them. So I'm still trying to kind of figure out ways in which I can, stop being manipulative and stop those kinds of behaviors, and why I am doing them. And that's just from the from the basic fear of not wanting to be alone or being abandoned, and kind of noticing when I'm doing it or when I'm about to do it, or why I'm feeling like I need to say or do these things, and just kind of, which is obviously easier said than done, because when you're in a borderline state, it's thinking at all about anything is challenging, because it just kind of takes over. But trying slowly, practicing, it's not going to, get better overnight. I hope within a year or two I can become so much more mindful, and I hope that I can share some of the things that I've learned with you guys. And yeah, so just some talk about manipulation. If you guys have any, ideas or thoughts about that and experiencing being manipulative or being manipulated, and of course in a positive manner. I don't want people to be like, yeah, borderlines are all toxic in my comments and stuff like that. But anyways, thank you so much again for listening to me ramble on and rant. I just kind of wanted to share some light on that side of illness, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. I will be back with a new video very, very soon. I actually have another one that I'm kind of working on, and that one was going to be with my boyfriend. So we're kind of designing a video. We really want to know some things that you guys might have questions about, for someone that is in a relationship with someone that has borderline personality disorder, but they themselves don't. I kind of want to just talk to them about what it's like, dealing with me, things that I may not see for myself as someone with BPD, and how he's able to help me and care for me and really help the recovery process go on. So if you guys have any questions for my boyfriend, I'll probably be doing that in the next video. I'm really, really excited for you guys to meet him and learn from him. He is literally the sweetest, most compassionate person ever, and I think there should be a lot more people like him in this world. the way that he handles my mental illness and just me as a person, it's incredible. So I really want you guys to see that. So leave any questions that you may have for him down below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video.